Hello and welcome to Seder Soul Sailing. Since we're arriving at the end of another year, this week's reading is about what to expect in 2024. We decided to film at the Shaman Tower where we do our daily walk. The wind was a little bit rougher than usual, so bear with us. Both our cards and astrology report had some very interesting messages, so make sure you watch it all the way through.
Hey, since we decided to do a 2024 reading to give an overview of what we might expect this year, we decided to do it here in the Shaman Tower.
And the wind isn't cooperating, but it's wind, so
Yeah.
it does what it will. We're sailors. We don't complain about the wind.
No, the sun, however, is frying, so let's get to it. Okay, to start, we got our signifier, and it's the same as our last reading, which was for Gaza. We got the Nine of Wands. The collective is really wounded at this point. We've had some really rough years and people are feeling the tension, but they're still standing.
We basically had the absolute shit beat out of us.
Yeah.
All of us. Every
Just-
person on this planet, basically.
The Nine of Wands is a very obvious signifier, I guess, and it's going to continue as 2024 unfolds, unfortunately. But good part is that it's coming to an end, so it's just before the 10, which is the actual ending.
Basically, this is us at the very tail end of 2023 when we've had the absolute crap kicked out of us. And this reading is going into 2024, so we're filming this a few days before New Year's Eve.
So for the overall situation this year, we got the Ace of Pentacles. I think this is saying that a big theme this year is going to have to do with the financial system, and it's going to go through a reboot. I'm not sure how that's going to look like, but I do think they're going to try something with CBDC. I do think there's going to be some kind of financial collapse, so that's going to be on everyone's mind because, I mean, money has been ruling the world and people are still very much attached to it, despite of knowing just how corrupt it is and how unfair the system really is.
That's exactly what the astrology for 2024 says. The big one is Pluto transiting into Aquarius. Between March and May of this year, just tiptoed into Aquarius, just basically put its toe through the door. And we had a little sense of that. For a while, there was chaos in the economic system. The price of gold and silver were going to real high levels, and they're going up to high levels again. By the time that this airs in about 3 days from now, it's a good chance that gold will have set a new record price. And here's the astrological forecast for Pluto entering Aquarius. Pluto enters Aquarius on January 20th, retrogrades back into Capricorn September 2nd, then returns to Aquarius on November 20th, where it will remain for 20 years. For the United States, this will have a major impact on economics, since this happens in the second house of the U.S. natal chart. And because the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency, what affects the United States affects the world. Think of Pluto as the wrecking ball of the zodiac. It destroys structures when it moves through a house, causing chaos, clearing space for building new structures. Over the next 20 years, our values will undergo a complete metamorphosis regarding material possessions and will place more value on emotional and spiritual interaction. We'll have to learn to survive with fewer resources, but this situation will improve as the initial phase of Pluto's transit through Aquarius is finished. Any attempts to cling to the material things that we previously valued will delay the beginning of the next phase. Eventually, our attitude towards material possessions will change completely and we'll realize that it's not as important to our lives as we previously thought. Spirituality will become much more important to us.
So a practical recommendation would be to get some gold and silver, while the price is still kind of affordable. Okay, so next we got the Gateway card, which is just the Four of Wands, and this speaks of family, community, and celebration. And I believe that the gateway and the key to get through this year as gracefully as possible, because we're going to feel a bit bruised from the financial collapse and whatever else is going to occur, but we really need to focus on what's happening in our personal, close surroundings, like community and family, and that's going to get us through this more gracefully.
Pluto moving into Aquarius means we have to let go of this, our attachment to material wealth, and embrace this, which is our the love and community we have in our lives, our families, our friends, the people we help, the people who help us. This is the gateway. This is what gets us through this.
Yeah, and whoever worships money and are all about their careers and all about finances and don't have a sense of community, they're going to struggle more this year than people that prioritize and value the things that actually matter in life. So
People that don't let go of their attachment to material wealth are going to basically be underneath a bus about this time next year, I'm afraid.
So next we got the present moment, and we got a page, and he has a pentacle. I think this speaks to the kind of a juvenile attachment that humans still have to material wealth and money, and that we're pretty crafty with it. Like, people are getting better at, starting businesses and so forth, but it also has the shadow side. So we're going to be challenged with this energy that we're still embracing, because as much as people say that money is not the key to happiness, there is still this part of our collective psyche that believes that this is the case.
The root of all this is the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands is the beginning of something of passion, the beginning of fire energy. And that's kind of how we let go of our attachment to the earthly realm.
Focus on the things that actually brings joy, rather than what we believe brings money and monetary value.
Look at our fears. Our fears, we have the Two of Pentacles as our fears. And this is being able to balance money. We're attached to money. Our attachment to money is juvenile. And we're afraid of not having money. So it's defining who we are. And
I also believe that this is speaking of even people that realize that family and love is more important than money. You still need resources to survive, right? You can't just say, oh, money doesn't matter, and then you're gonna eat the grass in your garden. Probably not. So it's this balance between the fear of not being able to balance the collapse with your true value and your inner knowing, in a sense.
Modifying this is the Seven of Pentacles. This is perfecting our craft. And basically, what this to me is saying is that we've got some work to do. We're almost through. This is a Nine of Wands. We're almost to the 10, which is a heavy load. The 10 of Wands is a heavy burden.
That will be 2025, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2024, this is how we'll be feeling, and then things will get even worse, and then maybe in 2026 we start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
But to get there, we have work to do. We're not going to have some savior swoop down from the sky and save us, whether that's a politician or a religious figure. It's like,
or an alien. That might happen next year. I mean,
if the alien comes, maybe we should not expect them to be our saviors. Maybe it'd be more like the Twilight Zone episode where the aliens came down and they were using this book for a guide. It was called To Serve Mankind, and it was a cookbook.
So I think this card also speaks to the advice, and that is to get real skill sets and work on them. And whatever you rely on, that you pay money for, whether that's building houses or growing food, maybe think about getting familiar with some kind of like mundane, basic skill sets that will be necessary in a world post-money.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's going to help with the balance thing, because if you're more self-reliant, this transition is going to be a lot easier.
Astrologically, there's some crazy things going on astrologically. We've got a lot of wands in this reading.
Yeah.
And these two together, it's the Seven of Wands modified by the Five of Wands. Seven of Wands is a battle. We're in it for some sort of battle, and I've got an idea what that is based on the astrology next year. And this says it's a battle that somehow involves cultural and social differences. So, I was talking about not having some savior swooping down from the sky to provide our salvation. We need to do the work ourselves. A good example of that is pick a religion, pick a political system. It doesn't really matter. If you identify yourself as I am a Jehovah's Witness, say, or a Republican or whatever, if you're defining yourself who you are by some external system, this is not going to be a good time for you, because we need to find the strength within ourselves, as we'll see at the end of this reading. We need to perfect our crafts, learn to do basic skills.
The Hermit flew away.
Yeah, and the Ace of Swords.
So more astrology. What did the stars have to say?
The Seven of Wands, modified by the Five of Wands, is referring to Jupiter conjunct Uranus. It's exact on April 20th, but it starts March 16th and it ends on May 26th. So it's a good 2 solid month transit. It ends the day that Jupiter moves into Gemini on May 26th. This is a transit of surprises and sudden opportunities in which we'll crave a type of freedom we've never before known. We'll rebel against any sort of responsibilities and try to recapture the freedom of youth. This may cause us to let down people who depend on us unless we strike a balance between the demands of others with our need for self-expression. This transit makes us feel idealistic, unable to accept anything that is underhanded or unfair, either in our personal life or in the world around us. During this transit, sudden and unexpected opportunities could open up for us. Because this transit also opens our eyes to new possibilities, we'll be able to see these opportunities. They'll also help us see solutions to problems that have been vexing us. So this is it's a transit of chaos, but it's Jupiter. And Jupiter, even when Jupiter is hooked up with a crazy-ass planet like Uranus, it's still Jupiter, and it's still generally a beneficial planet. It's a kindly uncle. He might get a little drunk sometimes and make a fool out of himself at family gatherings, but he means well.
All right, so next up is our psychological future. We got a positive card here, finally. Got the Two of Cups, and this speaks of partnerships, oftentimes of marriages, but I think in this context, it speaks of people actually learning to work together. So after we've gone through all this crazy arguing wand energy that's coming in, we're going to find some kind of resolution and we're going to start working together. And that means Bob over there learned how to milk some cows, and Barbara, she learned how to grow carrots, and now they can share milk and carrots or whatever it might look like in communities, right? So people are starting to realize that they can't rely on the system, and so they switch to a mindset where they rely more on basic human connections instead.
That's kind of what we want as a collective. Our desires are the hermit. We really want to go inside. We're tired of all the lies that we're fed on news and
all the fear propaganda.
Yeah, it's fear. What passes as reporting and news is really nothing but fear pornography. And we're tired of it. We just want some peace. We want to go in ourselves, and we want to find a center. And
through that period of introspection, we're going to cut through the bullshit, which is what the King of Swords does. He is very logical, very intellectual, and he's going to, it's not a very spiritual card, but it's kind of cutting away all the fear-based thinking and actually see things for what it is in a logical manner. And that's what's going to help us this year for the people that actually do this introspection work and see things for what they are.
For the people that actually realize the value of community and working together and not arguing about politics or religion or whatever nonsense people argue about.
Yeah. So for the future, we got a choice, and I think it has to do with exactly what we've been talking about. People can either be stuck in the old and be filled with fear when money ceases to have its current value, or we can shift our way of thinking and perceiving, and we can shift our way of living, and we can take a deep look at our current values and consider whether they can stay in this new world or not. So that's going to be rough because we can't see what's ahead. The Two of Swords, she's blindfolded, so she doesn't know what's coming if she chooses this new path. And it's going to be difficult too, because that's the final outcome. It's the Nine of Swords, and this has to do with, can be anxiety, nightmares, waking up from a nightmare, but still feeling the terror of it, because it feels very real still.
I think what that's saying is, those of us that realize how we've been conned into placing material possessions higher in our value system than love and community and the people around us, I think the people that can't let go of that are going to have a hell of a time. I think many of them won't survive. I mean, their depression from watching everything they value disappear will just degrade their immune system so that a simple cold can kill them, something like that. I mean, I really think we're going to see a lot less people in a few years.
And I believe that regardless of how mentally prepared people are, it's still going to be a rough shift, because one thing is getting yourself centered and ready, but there's going to be a lot of chaos. People are going to be very scared and stressed out in many places, and it's going to require strength to get through this. We really have to stay centered, and especially the ones of us that are awake and conscious to all of this, we need to really gather all the strength that we have and be these pillars of calm that people can come to and support the communities around us.
This card represents alchemy, and alchemy isn't turning lead into gold so you can get rich. That's not what alchemy is. That's how it is in the minds of your average person, maybe. But alchemy is so much more than that. That's really going inside yourself and performing a transformation of your center, of your core. So basically you're turning the lead inside of yourself into gold. And that's what this card represents. This woman has totally taken control of that lion. That lion it's a kitty cat to this woman. She's completely in charge of it. But if you look at the lion is golden colored. She's transformed the lead inside of herself into gold, and that's her spirit, that she owns her spirit. She owns her own sovereignty, her personal sovereignty. She is not a puppet. She is not a reactor. She's an actor, and that's what we need to do. We all need to go inside ourselves, find our inner core, our inner strength, and own that strength. We need to own our own personal sovereignty. We need to have agency over our own lives. We can't have, I don't care which politician it is. Some politicians are clearly better than others, and some are worse than others. But ultimately, all of them represent themselves and or possibly some reptilian space aliens like David Icke tells us about, but clearly they don't represent us. No, like I said, some are better, some are worse, but ultimately none of them are going to be our saviors. Ultimately, we're going to have to go inside ourselves and find our own Christ consciousness. And that's how we get through this. That's how we get to the next stage.
So overall, we got a bit of a rough year ahead, but I believe that people that are preparing and conscious and not overly attached to the monetary system, they're going to go through this transit a lot smoother, and it's kind of our responsibility to stay strong during this transit and assist the people that are more shocked by what's happening than we are. So with that, we wish you a happy new year. This is a collective reading, so you might have a very good personal year. So we wish that for all of you. Tropical surroundings. Is that a mosquito?
No, it's
Okay, so we're birding. So we're going to go now. We're going to go through the jungle and get back to the boat. But happy new year, and please contact us if you want a personal reading.